My family said my son didn't earn a Disney trip, so I spent their emergency fund without warning. Reddit stories. One text exposed how disposable my kid was to them after years of quiet sacrifices. What I did next rewired every power dynamic they thought was permanent. Hi, I'm Liam, 39, Miami cab driver, and last month my brother sent me a text that detonated the last shred of patience I had left. Your son can't come to Disney with us. Our kids saved their birthday money. Yours didn't earn this. I was sitting at a red light when it came in. I must have read it 5 times. The light turned green, somebody honked behind me like they were trying to win a car alarm competition, and I still just sat there staring at those words. Your son didn't earn this. I pulled into a gas station, parked next to a pump that someone was angrily slapping like it owed them money, and just stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Let me introduce myself properly. I'm Liam. Divorced, 2-bedroom rental in Little Havana, one son, Daniel, 16, who works harder at a grocery store for $8 an hour than most adults in my family do for their full-time salaries. And my family? They've spent years treating my wallet like a community swimming pool, open, accessible, and apparently not chlorinated often enough. Mom and Dad live in Orlando on a contractor pension shaped roughly like a dying houseplant. My brother Mark lives in suburban perfection with a minivan, a marketing job, and the smug confidence of a man whose children have never worn clearance clothes. For years, I'd been the emergency fund. Electricity bills, surprise taxes, car repairs, school fees. Just this once, Liam. We'll pay you back, Liam. Family takes care of each other, Liam. Except, family has always meant me paying and them forgetting. Then came the big family Disney trip. A whole group chat. Grandparents, cousins, in-laws, Mark coordinating like he was the CEO of Magic Kingdom. Daniel, my kid, was excited in that quiet, careful way he gets when he doesn't want to hope too much. He picked up extra shifts. Saved every dollar in an old cigar tin. Came home smelling like raw meat and industrial disinfectant. He saved $530. He earned it. And yet here I was, sitting in my taxi, being told he wasn't worthy enough to tag along. That he hadn't sacrificed the right way. That he didn't belong. And the part that hit hardest? They said it casually. Like it was obvious. Like my kid was less. I didn't yell. Didn't argue. Didn't explain. I simply typed, "You're right." And that was the moment everything in my family shifted. But none of them had any idea what I meant by those 2 words. Not yet. I didn't go home angry. I went home quiet, which is about 1,000 times worse for anyone who's known me longer than 10 minutes. Daniel was at the table when I walked in, still wearing his grocery store polo, sleeves rolled up, algebra book open but completely ignored. 16 years old, smelling faintly of produce section humidity and teenage optimism he kept trying to smother. He looked up the second he heard the door. "Hey, Dad. You okay?" Not even. "Hi." Just straight to emotional triage. That's what happens when the kid grows up watching you juggle everyone else's emergencies. "Yeah," I lied. "Long shift." He glanced back at his homework, pretending not to be studying my face. I could tell he knew something was off. I sat across from him. The table wobbled like it always does. Something about that wobble made my throat tighten. "You work today?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. Mrs. Alvarez tried to return eggs. She cracked herself again. I pretended not to notice. He smiled at his own joke, tiny, crooked, trying too hard. I tried smiling back. It didn't take. Then he added casually but not casually. "Uncle Mark texted me earlier. Asked how much I saved." My stomach dropped like an elevator. "What did you tell him?" "Like 530? He said. Then he left me on read." He shrugged, forcing another smile. "It's fine. I know it's not enough. We don't have to go. We can do the beach or something." He said it like he was comforting me. This kid. This kid who worked nights pushing carts in Florida heat and saving every dollar. This kid who had been quietly preparing not to be included. And my family had the audacity to say he didn't earn this. I nodded slowly, because if I opened my mouth, everything inside was going to come pouring out and drown the kitchen. Beach sounds nice, I said softly. Yeah, he said. It's free. That one hurt. Not because he was wrong, but because he'd already resized his dreams to match what he thought we deserved. He went to his room after that, humming a song under his breath, trying to pretend everything was normal. And I sat there alone at the table, staring at the dented old cigar tin he kept his money in. $500. 2 months of work. One kid trying his absolute best. Then I pulled out my phone. I didn't text Mark back. Didn't reply in the group chat. Didn't call my parents. I opened my banking app. There it was. The Family Emergency Savings Account. The one Mom swore everyone would contribute to. The one Mark never put a penny into. The one I'd been feeding for 3 years. Balance $18,372.41. All mine. Every cent. Their names were on it. But the money? Mine. And as I sat there listening to my son unpack disappointment in the next room, I realized something. They decided Daniel wasn't in the family. So I decided the family wasn't in my wallet. I dialed the bank. Hi, I said when the rep picked up. I need to remove co-owners from a savings account. Of course, she chirped. Are you the primary? Yes, I said. Very. 10 minutes later, the account was closed. The money? Transferred straight to me. When the notification pinged, deposit, $18,372.41. I felt my heartbeat slow for the first time all day. Then I opened another app. Disney's. And I booked something I never thought I'd even consider. A private VIP tour. 10 hours. Front-of-line access. Custom itinerary. $15,000. For 2. Me and my kid. No cousins. No grandparents. No brother. No explanations. Just us. I hit confirm, leaned back, and whispered to nobody. You earned this, kid. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty spending money. I felt right. I didn't sleep much the night before we left. Not because of guilt. Guilt is familiar. I can sleep through guilt like white noise. It was something else, something sharper. Anticipation? Nerves? A feeling I wasn't used to. Doing something purely good without asking permission. At 6 a.m., Daniel shuffled into the kitchen, hair sticking up, rubbing his eyes. You're up early, he mumbled. So are you. Yeah, well, I wanted to get a head start on the beach day. His voice dipped at the end, hopeful but hoping not to be hopeful. I cracked a smile. About that. We're not doing the beach. Oh. He tried to cover the disappointment with a nod. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever works. I grabbed the envelope from the counter. Actually, I said, we're going here. He opened it, brow furrowing, then widening. Then his entire face changed shape like he was trying to rearrange his features around a new reality. Dad, he whispered. This says Disney World VIP tour. Is this like real? As real as overpriced theme park magic gets. But, Dad, this is like thousands. Yes. And a VIP tour is like. Yes. And we're. Yes. He sat down slowly like gravity had suddenly doubled. But Uncle Mark said, we're not talking about your uncle. I cut in gently. We're talking about us. He blinked fast, wiping at his eyes once like he hoped I didn't notice. Are you sure we can afford this? He asked in the quietest voice. Yes, I said, and it was the easiest truth I'd spoken in years. Why? Because, I said, leaning forward, you worked hard. You saved. You never complained. And because I'm done spending money on people who don't see your worth. He swallowed hard. Then he whispered, "Thank you, Dad." Not loud. Not dramatic. Just real. The drive. We loaded up my aging taxi, the one whose AC fights for its life in July but still starts every morning like a loyal mutt. Daniel queued up a playlist, half classic rock, half Disney musicals. We sang terribly and proudly. Every few minutes he'd glance over at me and smile like he had to keep checking that I was real. Halfway up I-95, my phone buzzed. Family group chat. Mom, leaving the rental house now. Dad, should hit the park by noon. Mark, everyone ready for Magic Kingdom? Then, Mom, Liam? Where are you two? Want to meet at Castle later? I typed. Me, already heading in. Daniel peeked at the screen. Dad? I know. You're gonna tell them? Nope. He stared out the window, smiling to himself. The VIP guide. We met our guide, Kara, at the guest relations entrance. Khaki shorts? Gleaming smile. Clipboard of Disney power. Good morning, O'Connor family, she chirped. Ready for your VIP day? Daniel nearly choked. We zipped through a side gate as a family to our left counted strollers and panic screamed about sunscreen. Daniel whispered, Dad, we're skipping the line? Yes, son. We are skipping every line. We walked right onto Space Mountain. Then Big Thunder. Then Haunted Mansion. People in the standby queue gave us looks normally reserved for lottery winners or criminals. Daniel kept doing that breathless laugh, the kind you do when happiness surprises you. At 11:15 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Mom, we're at the front gates. Where are you? Mark, already 45 minutes for Peter Pan. Brutal. I snapped a photo of Daniel grinning with Mickey, Castle in the background, no lines in sight thanks to angle and timing. Send it. Me found Mickey. Silence. Then, Mark, wait. Are you on a tour? Dad, Liam, that money wasn't just yours. Mom, we could have used that for everyone. Dad, very selfish. Daniel saw the messages. His jaw tightened, not in anger. In resignation. The kind you only see in kids who've been disappointed too many times. I put a hand on his shoulder. You having fun? I asked. He nodded firmly. Then that's all that matters. And it was. We hit Main Street U.S.A. just as the sun blasted the castle in that perfect golden angle Instagram way. Couples were already arguing about maps. Toddlers were melting into the pavement. The usual Disney ambience. Kara led us right to a roped-off area for VIP guests. This spot is normally for executives, she said. But you two get it today. Daniel looked like he'd discovered oxygen for the first time. A Disney photographer came over, cheerful and well-caffeinated. Let's get some magic, she said. We posed, arms around each other, Mickey between us, Castle glowing behind us. Kara even handed us balloons for the ultra-cheesy shot. As we were finishing up, Daniel suddenly froze. Dad, he whispered. I followed his gaze. 20 yards away, near the hub grass. My entire family was standing there. Mom shading her eyes. Dad frowning at his phone. Mark holding his overpriced refillable popcorn bucket like it was a trophy. And the cousins, already sunburned, already whining. My stomach tightened. Then Mom spotted us. Her face shifted from confusion, recognition, disbelief. She grabbed my dad's arm and pointed. Dad's expression? Imagine someone who just watched their retirement fund blow away in the wind. Mark looked like he'd bitten into a lemon, eyes narrowed, mouth twisted. Daniel stiffened beside me. They're coming, he murmured. Sure enough, the family started marching toward us like a badly organized parade. But before they reached the rope, Kara stepped in, not aggressively, but firmly. I'm sorry, she said with a smile. This area is for VIP guests only. Mark barked. That's my brother. Kara smiled even bigger. Wonderful. You can wave at him from the guest area. Mom tried to squeeze past her. Liam, why didn't you tell us you booked a tour? We could have coordinated. The kids would have loved. Daniel shifted closer to me, instinctively. And something inside me, as old as every quiet slight and ignored birthday and left out invitation, finally settled. Not anger. Not spite. Just clarity. I took up my phone, opened the family chat, and typed, we're good. Enjoy your day. Hit send. Put the phone back in my pocket. Mom sputtered. Dad scowled. Mark actually snorted. You're seriously doing this? He said. Flexing with some stupid tour while we're stuck in lines? Grow up, Liam. Daniel flinched, not at the words, but at the tone. The tone I'd grown up with. The tone he'd started to think he deserved. I put a hand on his shoulder again. Loud enough for them all to hear, I said. I'm finally spending my money on someone who appreciates it. You all can handle yourselves for once. Mark laughed sharply. You'll regret this when the fun's over. I smiled. Take a look around, Mark. This is the first day in years I haven't regretted anything. Kara leaned in. Ready for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train? She asked Daniel. He nodded fast. We turned toward Fantasyland. Daniel didn't look back. I did just once. My family stood there, stunned into silence by something they had never expected. Me choosing my son over them. We followed Kara toward Fantasyland, slipping through a cast member gate that might as well have been a portal labeled Better Life This Way. The noise of Main Street softened behind us. Daniel walked beside me, unusually quiet. You okay? I asked. He nodded, but not convincingly. We passed a family with twin toddlers screaming in stereo. Daniel watched them, then took a shaky breath. Dad? He started. Yeah? He hesitated, like he was deciding whether to swallow the words or let them out. Then he said it. The thing that cracked something ancient inside me. Why don't they like me? I stopped walking. It was like time froze between the popcorn stand and the carousel. Daniel wasn't angry. He wasn't whining. He wasn't even sad. He was asking it the way people ask what time it is. A simple question that had been hanging in the air for years. Hey, I said quietly, stepping in front of him. Look at me. He did. His eyes weren't teary, they were flat, resigned. 16 years old, carrying a disappointment he thought he had to make sense of. You think they don't like you? I asked gently. He shrugged. I don't know. They just never include me. They never ask about me. They forget my birthday half the time. But when it's their own kids, they make everything a big deal. He swallowed. And then Uncle Mark says stuff like I didn't earn Disney. Like I'm just extra. Extra. That word punched me in the ribs. I put both hands on his shoulders. Daniel. You listen to me right now. You are not extra. You are not invisible. You are not a footnote in this family. He blinked fast. You have been overlooked. I said steady. That's on them. Not you. They don't treat you badly because of who you are. They treat you badly because of who they are. Silence. You earned this trip. I continued. Not by saving money in a tin. Not by working at a grocery store. You earned it because you show up. You try. You're thoughtful. You don't expect anything from anyone. You're a good kid, Daniel. You're my kid. And that's enough. He let out a breath he'd been holding for years. Okay, he said quietly. Okay. Then he added, with a tiny, crooked smile. Can we ride mine train twice? Twice? I scoffed. We can ride it until the animatronics file a complaint. He laughed. For the first time all day, the tightness in his face disappeared. Kara glanced back at us, reading the moment like she'd seen 1,000 families find the same crack in their armor. We can do mine train as many times as you want, she said softly. Daniel grinned. We walked on. But just as we reached the VIP gate for the ride, my phone buzzed again. Dad, Mark is furious. You embarrassed him. Mom, I can't believe you behave like this in front of the children. Mark, you're ruining the trip for everyone. For what? Your ego? Then, Mark, you should apologize. Daniel too. My hand tightened around the phone. Daniel saw the screen. He whispered, Dad, please don't. Don't what? Don't apologize. And for the first time in my life, I realized. My son wasn't asking me to protect him. He was asking me not to abandon him. Not the way they always had. I slid the phone into my pocket without replying. Come on, I said. Let's go ride something we did earn. Daniel beamed. And we stepped onto mine train like we owned the tracks. By 3 p.m. we'd hit every headliner in Magic Kingdom, sometimes twice. Thunder Mountain? Twice. Seven Dwarfs? 3 times. Haunted Mansion? Daniel insisted on riding until we could quote half the script. Every time we slipped through a backstage gate, every time Kara waved us past the 2-hour line, Daniel's confidence grew an inch. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed nonstop. Missed calls. Voicemails. Texts ranging from passive-aggressive to full-on family meltdown. Dad, your mother is embarrassed. Mom, we look ridiculous waiting while you parade around. Mark, at least tell us what rides you've done so the kids stop asking why Daniel gets everything. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to be petty. Because my kid deserved one day, without defending his existence. But my family's specialty? Not taking a hint. We were heading toward Adventureland when it happened. Kara slowed her pace, eyes narrowing slightly. Oh, she murmured. I think someone's trying to get my attention. I turned. My entire family, Mom, Dad, Mark, his wife, their 2 overheated children, were speed walking toward us. Like a flock of angry flamingos. Liam! Mom called, waving both arms like we were escaping a burning building. Kara stepped subtly between us, like a Secret Service agent in khaki shorts. Hi there, she chirped. This area is for authorized tour guests. We're with them. Mom snapped. Kara smiled politely. Unfortunately, that doesn't extend to extended family. Mark scoffed loudly. We're not extended. We're his real family. Daniel flinched. I felt the temperature in my chest go volcanic. Before I could respond, Mark leaned past Kara, jabbing a finger toward Daniel. And you, he said, eyes narrowed. You should apologize for making everyone feel guilty. My kids worked hard for this trip. Daniel froze. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He didn't say a word. He just stood there, a 16-year-old kid who had done everything right, being scolded like he'd stolen something. Something inside me snapped so cleanly it almost made a noise. Mark, I said, stepping forward. You need to walk away. No, he barked. You don't get to hide behind a tour guide and special treatment while the rest of us. Daniel suddenly spoke. Quiet. Steady. Clear. You don't get to talk to me like that. Everyone froze, including me. Daniel continued, voice trembling but strong. I worked just as hard as your kids. I saved. I helped Dad. I did everything I could. And you still said I didn't earn anything. Mark blinked, caught off guard. Daniel's jaw tightened. You made me feel like I wasn't part of the family, he said. I'm done trying to prove myself to people who already decided I don't count. Silence. My son, my quiet kid who'd spent his whole life swallowing disappointment, finally drew a line. Then he turned to me. Can we go? He asked softly. Yeah, I said. We can go. Kara nodded and guided us toward an employee-only gate. Behind us, Mom called out, voice cracking. Liam, don't do this. I didn't turn around. Already done, I said. We stepped through the gate, and it clicked shut behind us. A literal door closing on a lifetime of being taken for granted. Kara whispered. I've seen a lot of Disney drama, but that was something. Daniel let out a shaky breath and laughed once, nervously. You okay? I asked. He nodded. That felt weird, he admitted. But good. Yeah, I said. That's what boundaries feel like. We walked on. For the first time all day, it wasn't just the park that felt magical. It was my kid finally choosing himself. We spent the late afternoon in Hollywood Studios, front row on Tower of Terror, twice on Rise of the Resistance, unlimited pretzels because why not? But even with all that adrenaline, I could feel Daniel's energy running low. Not sad. Not scared. Just decompressing after finally standing up for himself. Around 6 p.m., Kara led us back to Magic Kingdom for fireworks. VIP section. Center view. 0 crowds. The castle glowed like it was dipped in gold. Daniel stood beside me, sipping a soda, quieter than usual. You thinking about them? I asked. He didn't pretend otherwise. A little, he said. More like, thinking about how weird it is that they made me feel so small for so long. He kicked at the ground lightly. I always thought it was just the way families were. I put a hand on his shoulder. It's not, I said. It's the way they are. And we're allowed to choose different. Before he could answer, my phone buzzed. A lot. The family group chat had gone nuclear. Mom, Liam, you're being cruel. Dad, this is not how a son behaves. Mom, we saw Daniel walking away. He owes us an apology. Mark, you're raising him to be entitled. Mom, we are family. You do not turn your back over a misunderstanding. Dad, we need to talk in person tonight. Mom, come to the rental house after fireworks. Then finally, Mark, you can't just cut everyone off because you're having a tantrum. That money wasn't just yours. We all relied on that account. What you did was selfish. Ah. There it was. The truth peeking out like mold under wallpaper. They didn't want family unity. They wanted access. To my money. To my labor. To my silence. And now, having neither, they were spiraling. I felt Daniel glance at my phone. What did they say? He asked quietly. I locked the screen. Nothing we need to care about. He nodded, trusting me. The music started. Lights dimmed. The castle came alive with colors and projections. As the first firework shot into the air, I finally typed the message I'd been circling for years. I'm done financing a family my son isn't part of. Don't contact us again. Before I hit send, I caught Daniel watching me. You sure? He asked softly. I looked at him. This kid who'd worked hard, stayed kind, taken blow after blow from a family that never saw him. I'm sure, I said. I hit send. The message delivered. No dots appeared. Not a single reply. Behind us, 20,000 people gasped as a waterfall of fireworks cascaded down the castle. Daniel stepped closer to me. Dad? Yeah? Thanks for choosing me. My throat tightened. I put my arm around his shoulders. Always, I said. Always you. He leaned into me, head against my arm, and we watched the fireworks in perfect silence. No guilt. No noise. No expecting the next demand to drop into my lap. Just us. Father and son. A family of two. A family that finally fit. 1 month after Disney, our life settled back into something that felt lighter. I didn't realize how much weight I'd been carrying until it wasn't there anymore. Nobody calling for just a little help. Nobody guilt-tripping me into paying for something. Nobody implying Daniel was less than. Silence has never felt so luxurious. But silence never lasts with my family. The first ripple arrived on a Wednesday evening while I was eating leftover arroz con pollo and Daniel was doing homework on the couch. A single text from my mom. Mom, we need to talk about what happened. I stared at it for a full minute. Daniel glanced up. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, placing my phone face down. Just background noise. Truthfully, I thought the fallout would give me anxiety. Instead, it gave me nothing. That nothing was freedom. The family spiral. By week 3, the back-channel information started dripping in. From who? My Aunt Rosa, the only relative with a moral compass. She called while I was driving an airport run. You really stirred the pot, she said. I'm sure they'll survive, I replied. She snorted. Survive? Honey, your mama is holding a personal funeral for the bank account. I could hear her lighting a cigarette. And your brother? He's been telling anyone who listens that you betrayed the family. Yeah, I said. I'm doing okay with that. A pause. You should be, she said more softly. Daniel looked happy in those photos. Happier than I've seen him in years. That hit deeper than I expected. Yeah, I said quietly. He was. He deserves that, she said. Don't you let anyone tell you different. I didn't realize until then how much I'd needed someone, anyone, to say that out loud. Daniel's transformation. In the weeks after the trip, Daniel changed in small ways. He walked straighter. Spoke louder. Didn't flinch when someone said his name. He even quit the grocery store job, not out of laziness, but because he wanted a better one. I think I can get hired at Target, he said one night. They pay more. Think? I laughed. Kid, you were running a store by yourself at 16. He grinned, embarrassed. He got the job within a week. But the real shift happened on a quiet Sunday. I heard him rummaging in his room. Tape ripping. A thud on the wall. When I walked past, he looked up, cheeks a little pink. Oh, he said. I was just, putting something up. On the wall above his desk was a framed photo from the VIP tour. Me and him, arms around each other. Mickey between us. Castle behind us. His smile so bright it practically glowed. Under it, he'd added a small caption card he'd printed. The day I realized I matter. My breath caught. Daniel. He shrugged awkwardly. It just reminds me. You know? Of how things should be. I walked over, squeezed his shoulder. I'm glad, I said quietly. You do matter. More than any of them ever made you feel. He nodded, swallowing a little. He didn't cry. I barely didn't. Meanwhile, the family drama gets messy. Aunt Rosa kept the updates coming. Mark was furious. My mother was spiraling. My father had started passive-aggressively mentioning wills and inheritance to random relatives. Rosa cackled, telling me that part. You think they have anything to leave? Don't flatter them. But the real bombshell was this. They're mad, she said. But they're also embarrassed. About what? That someone finally said no to them. She paused, then added. And that your kid did too. I didn't respond. I just gripped the steering wheel a little tighter. Because that felt true in a way that hurt. But the craziest part? The closer I got to peace, the more they fell apart without me. The person they took advantage of? Gone. The money they believed was family-owned? Gone. The emotional punching bag they leaned on? Deleted. And they had no idea how to function without the scaffolding I'd been providing for years. But something else was coming. Something none of us expected. And it started with another message, from someone I really didn't expect to hear from. The message came late, 11:42 p.m., just as I was locking up the apartment and checking whether Daniel had actually turned off the bathroom light. He hadn't. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hey, it's Lisa. I stared at the name. Lisa. My sister-in-law. Mark's wife. The woman who made Pinterest boards for every holiday and passive-aggressive comments for every inconvenience. Why was she texting me? Before I could decide whether to open it, another came in. Lisa. Please don't block me. I just need 5 minutes of honesty from someone who won't yell at me. Okay. That was new. I opened the thread. Lisa. I know things are bad with the family right now. Worse than bad. Nuclear. But I wanted to say something privately, without Mark hearing. I sat down at the kitchen counter. Me. I'm listening. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Then the flood came. Lisa's confession. Lisa. I'm sorry for what Mark said to Daniel. Lisa. I heard him typing that message that day. I told him not to send it. Lisa. He said. Liam won't do anything. He never does. Something hot flared in my chest. Not anger. Recognition. He used to be right. Me. Why are you telling me this now? A long pause. Then. Lisa. Because the kids saw what happened at the castle. Lisa. They saw you walk away. They saw Daniel stand up for himself. Lisa. And now they're asking questions Mark can't answer. I blinked. Me. What questions? Lisa. Why Daniel wasn't invited to things. Why he always got less. Why Mark called him extra. Lisa. They're old enough to see it now. And they think it's wrong. That hit harder than anything she'd said so far. Lisa. Even our youngest asked, why doesn't Uncle Liam love us anymore? And Mark said, because he's dramatic. But they didn't buy it. She kept going. Lisa. Your son looked happy at Disney. Happier than I've ever seen him. I know that shouldn't bother me, but it did. In a good way. It made me think, maybe we've been living in a bubble Mark created. Then the truth spilled out. Lisa. Mark told everyone you were fine with how things were. That you preferred doing things for the family. That Daniel didn't mind being left out. My entire body went cold. Me. He said that? Lisa. For years. Lisa. And Liam? I believed him. I didn't want conflict. I didn't want to rock the boat. I let myself ignore what I saw because it was easier. I didn't reply. What do you even say to something like that? She continued anyway. Lisa. When Daniel stood up for himself at the castle, my kids whispered, good for him. They said they wished they could say things like that to their dad. Then, Lisa. Mark is losing control of the narrative, and it terrifies him. That's why he's lashing out. That's why your parents are panicking. You shifted the balance of the entire family without trying to. I leaned back in my chair. Did I feel vindicated? Validated? No. I felt tired. Because this is what happens after a lifetime of letting people walk over you. The moment you stand up, everyone acts like you flipped the table. When really you just pulled your chair back. The unexpected ask. Then Lisa sent one last message. Lisa. My kids miss Daniel. They keep asking if they can see him. I know things are messy with Mark, but would you ever let them reconnect? I didn't expect that. Before I could answer, Daniel came out of his room in pajama pants, rubbing his eyes. You okay? He mumbled. Yeah, I said. Just a weird message. He sat at the counter. From who? Your Aunt Lisa. He groaned. Oh boy. What now? She apologized, I said. For everything. And she asked if you'd ever want to see your cousins again. He froze. Not unhappy. Not thrilled. Just thinking. I like them, he said after a moment. They're good kids. They never treated me bad. True. But, he added quietly, I don't want to see them if it means dealing with Uncle Mark. I nodded. That makes sense. He hesitated. I could hang out with them, if it's just them. Not him. Not Grandma. Not Grandpa. I smiled. I can tell her that. He stretched, yawned, stood up. Okay, he said. But don't set anything yet. I want to think about it. Of course. He went back to bed. I typed. Me. Daniel says maybe. But only without Mark involved. And only when he's ready. Lisa responded instantly. Lisa. That's fair. More than fair. Thank you. Then one more. Lisa. And Liam? I'm sorry. Truly. I set my phone down. Exhaled slowly. Because something had shifted again, subtle, but seismic. This wasn't about money anymore. It wasn't even about Disney. This was about a broken family structure collapsing in the one direction it never expected. Away from the scapegoat. And toward the kid they overlooked. And the ripple was only beginning. Because the next blow-up didn't come from Mark. It came from someone I never thought would pick a side. My father. My dad called the next morning at 8:07 a.m. Not a text. Not a guilt-trip voicemail. A call. The last time he'd called me before noon was when Daniel was born. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering, debating whether to answer. I didn't owe him anything. But I also knew ignoring him would just invite a barrage of "We're worried" messages and dramatic updates from my mom. So I answered. Yeah? He didn't say hello. Didn't clear his throat. Didn't soften his tone like he usually did when he needed something from me. He went straight to it. What did you do to your brother? I almost laughed. There it was. The family's favorite opening line. What I did, I said calmly. Or what he did. You embarrassed him, Dad snapped. You embarrassed all of us. I sat up straighter in my kitchen chair. By taking my son to Disney? That VIP nonsense, he barked. $15,000? Are you out of your mind? You made us look poor, I said. He went silent. Long enough for me to hear my own heart beating. Then he said quieter. You made us look bad in front of the kids. Ah. There it was. The truth under the anger. You mean, I said slowly, I ruined the story you've been telling them. What story? He growled. That Daniel is the one who always gets less because I don't work hard enough. That we're barely scraping by. That Mark's kids deserve more because Mark has his life together. That I should be grateful for whatever crumbs everyone tosses us. Another silence. Then he exhaled through his nose, old and tired. This isn't about crumbs. No, I said. It's about control. He didn't deny it. He didn't have to. Dad switches tactics. Liam, he said, voice dipping into that soft, placating tone he used whenever he wanted me to cave. Your mother hasn't slept since Saturday. She's sick with worry. About what? I asked. That I used my own money? That I stopped being the family ATM? That you closed the emergency fund. There it was. Not Daniel. Not the Disney trip. Not fairness. Money. Always, always money. That account was mine, I said. 98% of the deposits were me. You and Mom put in $50 total. Mark put in nothing. It was a family agreement, he insisted. No, I said. It was a family expectation. A one-way expectation. He huffed sharply. You should have talked to us. You should have asked Daniel if he felt excluded. I shot back. You should have told Mark not to text a kid that he didn't earn family time. You should have actually used that emergency fund for the entire family, not just the parts of it that give you bragging rights. That landed. He didn't speak for a long time. When he finally did, the anger was gone. Something else had replaced it. Something like realization. Or fear. Your mother is scared. Of what? I asked. He hesitated. Then, that you're pulling away. I leaned back. Finally, something close to the truth. I'm not pulling away, I said. I'm correcting the distance you all created. He sighed heavily. I know you think we favor your brother. You do, I said. He didn't argue. You think we don't appreciate everything you've done. You don't, I said. Still no argument. But Liam. His voice cracked, just slightly. Your mother is scared that we're losing you. And she doesn't know how to fix it. I swallowed. The words hit me in a place I didn't expect. Because for the first time in my life, my dad sounded less like a judge and more like a man. A tired one. An aging one. A man realizing his kids are slipping through his fingers for reasons he helped create. I stayed quiet. Then he said, "What do you want from us?" The question stunned me so much I didn't answer right away. "What do you mean?" "I mean," he said, choosing his words very carefully, "what do you want us to do differently? What would make things right with you? With Daniel?" That was new. That had never happened before. Not once in 39 years. I took a slow breath. My hands trembled, not with anger this time, but with the weight of being asked a question no one had ever cared to ask. "What I want," I said finally, "is simple." I listed them one by one. 1. Respect Daniel. Treat him like part of the family, not a guest. 2. Stop treating Mark's kids like royalty and mine like an afterthought. Equal or nothing. 3. No more unsolicited demands for money. I'm not your backup income. 4. No more guilt tripping. If I say no, accept it. 5. And most importantly, apologize to Daniel. Directly. Honestly. Without excuses. On the other end of the line, Dad exhaled again. Longer this time. He didn't argue. He didn't correct. He didn't minimize. Instead, he said, "I don't know if your brother will go for that." "I don't care if he does," I said. "This isn't about him." Dad paused. Then, "You're right. I didn't expect that." "You're right," he repeated. "Your son deserves more than he's gotten from us. And I haven't been fair." The words hung in the air. Heavy. Real. Late but real. Then he added quietly, "I'll talk to your mother." "And Mark?" I asked. "That," he said, voice tightening, "is a different battle." I almost smiled. Dad finally showed up at our apartment a week later. No speeches, no excuses. He looked at Daniel and said, "I'm sorry. We were wrong." Daniel nodded once, not forgiving, just accepting. After he left, Daniel turned to me. "Does this change anything?" "Maybe," I said. "But even if it doesn't, we're good." He smiled, small but real. For the first time, our family wasn't something we chased. It was something we built ourselves,